Do you know what I've been really hooked on? Because there's this new coffee shop just down the road, kind of between here and my place.
Well, I want to hear it. They want
But
to hear
I'm
it.
on a
So
matcha journey.
you are on a matcha journey.
And
Tell us
this
about it.
matcha is so good. It's at this place called Lynx. And it's very like artisanal style, like,
Is it from Kyoto?
I don't know where it's from.
Ask him next time. I bet it is.
But it's called Snow. The drink is called Snow, and it
Okay.
has like white chocolate ganache in it. It is creamy and I don't know, it's so good. Like I try not to chug it. I want to like sip and savor it, but like
Well, it's giving your Wicked order a run for its money.
I know. Well, that also has matcha foam.
Welcome to Disrespectfully
With Katie Maloney
and Dayna Cathan.
unapologetically
We're here to do what we want to do.
spilling the tea.
Babe, you're going to see the power of women. Like,
Disrespectfully.
well, as I continue going to new countries, I want to be like that insufferable study abroad student that like had a sandwich in Spain and then someone's like, oh, this sandwich is good. And it's like, oh, you didn't have one in Barcelona. So
Well, when I
you'll
was living
never
in
know.
Barcelona, that's
Well,
that kind of thing.
That's I also, speaking of matcha, I saw a video last night of a tiny Chihuahua-esque blonde dog that jumped in a swamp, I would describe it as, and it came out completely green. Like it was the greenest dog I've ever seen. Like it got in the filth layer and they took it out and then had to walk around the lake to try and find some water to wash
It's like
the dog
every
with.
blonde in the summer going swimming too much.
No, it's triggering. It's like the time all my hair fall out
I
when
know, when
I
you
came back from.
when you had a CVS bag on your head.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
reminded me of that. So I hope that dog's well, but that owner's better than me because I would have been like, you know what? I think you belong in the swamp and we have to go. This can't come in my car. I'm just kidding, PETA. Relax. I would never leave Laszlo anywhere.
Yeah. Well, we didn't come here to talk about matcha.
Did we not?
No.
What were we gonna, was it like my perfect nose
Yeah.
or something? Was that what we were
Yeah,
discussing?
your impeccable profile.
My gorgeous profile. That's right. Oh, well, that's because we have my surgeon on today.
Yeah.
Dr. Dugar.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for
Welcome
having
to
me.
Disrespectfully. We're
I'm
so
super excited. Thank you.
We've chatted about you incessantly, so it's time
Wow.
that you give them the business.
Yeah.
All
I mean, one of our
right.
favorite things to talk about is plastic surgery
Yeah,
and what the hell people are doing. So hopefully you can answer some of those questions today.
I think I will be able to help.
I think we're gonna get the tea, and I think it's piping hot.
It is very.
I think just to set the scene, who is your favorite patient, and why is it me?
Well, it's you because you take the depths of culinary mastery to the point where you have to visit the countries to taste the matcha.
She's
And
worldly.
now, yep. And so I would listen to your matcha advice over your. Just kidding.
Listen, I've had matcha in Japan, so
Oh.
I also know what I'm talking about.
Oh, shots are fired.
Yeah.
Well,
I like the
now you know
confidence.
the dynamic. Great.
I like it.
Yeah.
So I met you almost 3 years. My nose is almost 3
Yeah.
years old, which
Yep.
is so it's a toddler. And I was like, what kind of gifts should I tell my friends to get me? Like, what is appropriate for a toddler nose? You know, like, is it like
Cash,
Cartier?
Birkin bags. Yeah.
Okay. I was
yeah.
thinking I should throw a like welcome to the world 3 years nose party.
I think so. And I think everyone should have to bring a gift for you.
Yeah. I'm out here celebrating all your life choices. Celebrate mine. So we met because you did my rhinoplasty and I had wanted one. Well, we've talked about it briefly on the show, but for years and years and years. And it's obviously a really scary decision to make because I think the only thing worse than not liking your nose is not liking your nose after surgery. That's, it's a tough thing to deal
That's even
with.
scarier.
It's even scarier. So Raleigh knew you and you had done her rhinoplasty, and so trusted her with my life, met you once, and was like, oh, this is the guy. I loved your entire spiel and just kind of your foundation about who you are as a surgeon, and best money I've ever spent. I say it all the time. I
love that.
literally every day I'm like, the only regret I have is not doing it sooner, but I'm so glad that I went with you. So tell us a little bit about your background as a surgeon.
Yeah, thank
Kind of
you.
your approach.
Well, that's super kind. I love hearing the confidence that it gave you. I feel like I grew up really focused on how to be a good human for my mom and dad. I feel like that was something that it's kind of like the cheesy story, but I really got that. And so as a surgeon, I still have that. I feel like I don't want to just make money. I think a lot of surgeons out there are just trying to make money today. It's just a pure business model, whether you're a med spa or a surgeon. And I feel like I look at it more like human to human. Like I like this moment right now. 3 years later, I still have a relationship with the patient. And I have that with a lot of patients. You're my favorite, but I have it with a lot of patients.
Raleigh's steam is coming out of her ears somewhere.
But it's because I want to have the best experience for you. I don't want it to just be a monetary exchange. I do see a lot of people really upset with plastic surgery afterwards. There are so many Reddit streams right now, if you look at them, so many about angry plastic surgery. how their results are bad, how they hate their surgeon, stuff like that. I don't want that in my life. You
Yeah.
know, I don't want that energy. I want people to feel like it was worth the time, the energy, the money. I want them to feel like that. So I think that's biggest part of my journey is being a surgeon who cares about the patient, not just the results. And then the other part of it is I'm a facial plastic surgeon, so I did ENT first. So we studied the nose, inside the nose, breathing. So I do a lot of athletes now. I do a lot of like high-end breathing surgeries. You know, it's a big trend. If you're not a male taping your mouth at night, you're basically a loser. And so I'm just kidding.
Like
And
that
so,
I'm like,
guy. Did you see that guy?
I'm
who
that
did, like,
viral
the
video.
yeah, the like his
oh
like
my God.
3 a.m. He reads for 2 minutes and then does some
Dude.
push-ups. Anyway, we'll get more into that.
Insufferable. Okay.
Insufferable.
Yeah, you
But
gotta tape your
anyway.
mouth and your nose and your eyes if you're really cool. And so I do a lot of high-end breathing surgeries, and then I specialize in facial plastic surgery, had a mentor in Beverly Hills who I trained under, and then stayed here ever since. I've been doing this for about 15 years and love noses. That's kind of my niche that I fell into is noses.
You're the schnoz guy.
I'm a schnoz guy.
I have a
yes.
guy. You need a schnoz? You need a schnoz redoing?
I mean, I will say though, but good bedside manner for like any kind of doctor, whether it's dentist or anything, like that makes an entire difference. I would go to somebody who's maybe like has less experience just because they're more pleasant to be around.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best way to sort of gauge it, but I don't know personally. That's how I feel.
No, I feel that way. I felt, and this is not an ad. I felt so safe with you and your team. And Maddie, you have a wonderful group of
Thank
people
you.
around you. Also, the whole team was great. It was my first major surgery, so I was really
Yeah.
nervous. If you couldn't tell by the jokes I was cracking as I was getting on the table,
Yeah.
but yeah, you guys, I could tell because you said like I turned people away, which really meant something to me. And I actually had referred a friend, and he turned her away because she had such, I don't know how what the wording you use, but like had such structure in her nose that she required an open rhinoplasty,
Right.
and you specialize in a closed rhinoplasty. And
Yeah, that's right.
she ended up getting one by who you referred and loved it. But I
Perfect.
was like, I love that you're not someone that will just take anyone when you're like, I'm not going to be able to get you what you're looking for, or it
That's
doesn't
right.
align with me wanting to keep your features what they were, just more refined. And I think that's lacking these
Yeah.
days.
Well, I think it's like actors or it's like any other specialty. Like some actors try to do roles that they maybe aren't meant to do.
Mhm.
And then there's certain actors who take roles that they know they're really good at. And those are the actors who keep killing it consistently over and over because they stay in their lane and they do the roles that they're really meant to do.
Yeah.
And so I feel like as a surgeon, it's the same thing. Some surgeons just keep swinging left and right at things they shouldn't do, and they have a lot of misses. Some surgeons just stay in their lane and they do what they're good at over and over. And that's how they have these 30-year careers of happy patients. So I found my lane, I found my niche. Closed scarlet rhinoplasty is what I do, but there's a lot of people who need other things. And so you have to refer to the best of the best depending on what their needs are.
Can you explain the difference between
Yeah, what
open and
is-
closed so people
Yeah.
can understand?
Yeah, if you've never heard of, so rhinoplasty, a nose job, is basically reshaping the nose for breathing or for cosmetics. And then the other concepts is open versus closed. Open, you make a cut at the bottom of the nose, and then you flip up the hood of the nose, basically. So it's kind of like opening up the entire car engine
Yuck.
hood, okay? Versus with closed rhinoplasty, we actually go through the nose, inside the nostrils, we make little tiny cuts inside, and we do all our dissection inside the nose. Same surgery. It's the same concepts, but we do it without making external skin cuts. There's no external cuts.
What criteria would somebody come in with that would need an open versus closed?
So I would say most revision surgery, if you've had one before and it didn't go well and you want more done, sometimes that needs it because there's so much scar tissue now that you need to kind of take it apart. Number two would be, I use this example a lot. It's kind of like restorations of a home versus remodeling. So you have an old 1930s, Beverly Hills house that was built very basic. You're not going to be able to restore that or remodel it. You kind of got to tear it down and rebuild a new one. Versus you have a 1930s French chateau that's built beautifully and absolutely stunning. You would never tear that down. Dayna, you would never tear down a Dayna. You would never tear down a French chateau.
That's what I was
You
that's
would,
what I was
you
leaning
would
at.
just remodel it because it's so pretty to start with. You don't need to reconstruct it.
It's like they say, good bones.
Good bones. That's
Good-
absolutely
Pun
right.
bones or good
intended.
cartilage.
Good-
Oh, we're gonna be here all afternoon.
I know.
So when you decided to take that route, like, did you always know that you wanted to specialize in it, or it's just what in your studies you learned it, and then that's what you kind of became known for?
Well, I kind of picked the mentorship path. So my mentor did this, and so I decided to do the same thing he did because I like the concept of being really good at one thing.
Mhm.
I'm also like, I'm kind of a scaredy cat in a good way, I think, as a surgeon. Like, I don't like being insecure in surgery. I like being really confident. And I think a
Thank
lot
God.
of surgeons are okay with overconfidence and they kind of
Uh-huh.
go into things that they're not good at. Like, I have friends who tell me that they do one nose job a year. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, like the day of that nose job, are you freaking out? They're like, no, I did one last year. I remember kind of the basics. You get through it, you just do it.
Well,
To me, that's wild.
I worked with spine surgeons for years when I was in medical device
Yes.
sales, and yeah, I saw a lot of those surgeons that
Just wing it.
just like they say, what is a doctor called that gets D's? A doctor.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah, the
So
last person in their
That's
class.
terrifying. I mean, like,
yeah.
I know confidently I couldn't do a nose job because I never went to school for
Well, you
it.
don't.
But like, but I don't know if I like trust someone that like went to school but only does one a year. Even if they
Yes.
have the proper teachings and some experience, I'm still like, maybe I'll try my hand.
Well, that's so. But you at 2 a.m. at a bar, you might think you can do a
You
nose
know,
job, and
no.
that's the delusion that these surgeons have.
Well, it's like think about anything. It's like you try to, from memory, my goldfish brain trying to do a recipe I did a year ago. I start a
Yes.
fire. It's not for me.
There's nothing I know from memory
No.
besides the lyrics to like
Now,
Cody
torn.
Cambria and Natalie
Torn.
Really Torn.
You know that by memory.
You know, that's it.
So eating healthy kind of, I don't know, sucks. Would you say that?
Yeah.
Probably. Especially when it comes to bread. It's so hard to deny a soft, tender, high carb piece of goodness in the stressful world we live in today. But not anymore. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in that soft, fluffy experience you love guilt-free.
Plus, you can enjoy all your favorite treats while feeling good about yourself, like a nutritious breakfast wrap, avocado toast, grilled cheese with a cozy soup, or family burger night. Their products are delicious and flavorful, but have ultra low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, and are high in fiber. And the texture is, dare I say, better than traditional bread.
Dare you must. I think you might be right, Katie. Hero Bread is so soft, so tasty. Every time I eat it, I feel like I'm floating on a beautiful, airy little bread cloud.
That sounds really peaceful and beautiful.
It is. I sleep there. It's awesome.
Another beautiful thing about Hero Bread is the range of products provided. I'm talking white bread, seeded bread, tortillas, bagels, buns, and even Hawaiian rolls.
Hawaiian rolls and a little tortilla.
God tier bread.
My mouth is just watering thinking about it. And even more mouth watering, knowing it's low in net carbs, which you would never know from the taste. You may think a delicious bread without the guilt is impossible, but it's not. It's with Hero Bread. There are no compromises, just flavor.
And with monthly small batch drops of indulgent favorites like their 2-gram net carb croissant, plus more surprises coming this year, you're always eating good. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code disrespectfully at checkout. That's disrespectfully at hero.co.
Can you smell it? Vacation season is nearly upon us. And baby, we are traveling.
Yes, we are living, we are laughing, we are loving, and we are in fact traveling. And you know what the best part of traveling is?
Don't tell me. Travel fit?
Travel fits it is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking for the best place to find luxe upgrades to your spring wardrobe, look no further than Quince's high-quality travel essentials at a fair price.
Lightweight European linen styles from $30, washable silk tops, and comfy lounge sets? Sign me up. Plus, Quince also has premium luggage options and stylish tote bags to just carry it all around in.
Well, you want to know the best part?
What is it?
All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings right over to us.
And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices with premium fabrics and finishes. Love. I bought my Mongolian cashmere crew neck sweater, and let me tell you, it's the best piece of travel wear I own. Comfy, cozy, chic. What's not to love?
For your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/disrespectfully for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/disrespectfully to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/disrespectfully.
Yeah, no, wouldn't be good stuff. Are you still, because I remember you told me this a while ago, that you are not for multiple revisions. Like, is there any scenario in which when someone gets a botched nose job, because it is a slippery slope when someone
Yeah.
isn't happy with the results, and you hear about a revision with a nose job, and people have had like 4 surgeries.
Yeah, well, not to like bring up the name and infamy, because God bless, rest his soul, Michael Jackson. You don't wake up one day with your 10th nose job, right? You don't wake up one day with your 6th or 7th. What happens is you had one, didn't go perfect. And then you have to really decide, am I on road left or road right? And one of those roads is, I'm going to chase this until it's perfect. And one of the roads is, all right, let me see if I can make it a little better and call it a day. if you don't ever have that mentality of my nose will be better or my face will be better, my facelift will be better, my boob job will be better, my tummy tuck will be better, my BBL will be better. If you have the idea it's got to be perfect, that's really dangerous because some people chase that perfect shape, perfect body idea, and that ideal is not real. It also changes with time. You change with time.
Yeah.
Your ideal of perfect changes with time, and that's where you lead down to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rhinoplasties. That's most of them. Then there are a small quadri that's really sad where they just have really bad surgery. They're botched, a very famous TV show. That is also sadly what happens sometimes, bad surgery.
Do you get people that come in that it's like you're there, it's too far gone, so you
Oh,
turn them away
yeah.
for that reason?
Yeah, and we, turn them away sounds hard. We guide them to surgeons who can accommodate their reconstructive needs.
You're so much nicer to me. I'd be like, get the fuck out of my office. What do you think I'm gonna do with this?
I mean, but when people start going down that path, I think most people when they go in for this type of surgery for cosmetic, boob, whatever, is that they want to have it done to the point where it's not going to be extremely obvious. Like they just want that subtle little tweak. They always like, I just want to tweak this, I want to tweak that. But then when people start going down that road, then they look like they've had like the most work done. I mean, is there ever such thing as just like a little tweak? I don't know if you're going.
Yeah, well, I think Dana's nose is an example of a little
Oh
tweak.
yeah, no, I mean,
Like most people might not even know you had your nose done because it looks so natural.
yeah,
Versus some girls have that like tiny pixie Barbie nose and it's very obvious. They walk into a room, the first thing that walks in is the nose job.
yeah.
You see them at dinner and you see them at a party. Someone like, have you ever seen those guys that come out and they act like they didn't and they got veneers and everyone knows they got veneers?
Turkey teeth.
Yeah, the turkey
these are
teeth.
veneers.
But you would
Those
never
four,
know
but
that.
because my
Those
But they
look
don't-
so natural.
They don't look like a strip of like all the
Chiclets.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can look plastic surgery, dentistry, you can make it look really bad if you opt into that culture, that
No,
mindset.
Well,
yeah.
honestly, this is a good segue because we want to talk about the tea of everyone who's aging in reverse and what do you think they're having done and
Because
all
yeah,
that.
it's like
Sure.
no one can put their finger on it. They just look
They're all having facelifts.
15. Okay, so is that
Okay,
that's
we can't
it?
wait to talk about it.
I know. Okay, so is it a lower facelift? Is it a full facelift? Are they doing blephs? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I'm gonna
The whole thing, yeah,
Yeah,
get your
we're gonna,
notepads
we're gonna
out.
listen. Thank God this is recorded because I'm
Get
gonna
your
be going
notepads
back
out.
to it. Tell us that. So, okay, I'm not trying to, single anyone out, but I
Sure.
think Demi Moore is a good example of a few years ago. She was on that runway and she was looking kooky. She's one of the most beautiful women to have ever lived.
Sure.
So, what do you think was happening before when she was looking kind of funky and then she went away for a year and popped back out and now looks like she is younger than me?
I would say generically it's mediocre doctor versus better doctor is probably the answer.
Do you think the first one was a facelift that just didn't take or go well? Like, what do you think procedure wise? What would you guess that she had done?
And this is purely speculation.
All
No
alleged.
no HIPAA here. I would say over pulling in a deep plane facelift that instead of pulling vertically, they pulled more horizontally. And so then it gives you this stretch on the lower aspect of the face, which creates a very heavy upper cheek and a very heavy lower cheek. And it pulls in between and kind of makes it look very hollow.
yeah,
And
that's
you kind
what
of see that
she-
hollowing
Mhm.
sometimes. And that's when the surgeons stitch too far posteriorly instead of thinking about a vertical lift. All these terms are all made up, first of all, and all these procedures have been around for 100 years. So any surgeon who pretends like they made something up is lying. These have been
Mhm.
around for hundreds of years. But it's just techniques come in trends, just like fashion does, right? Like the jeans today are the same ones in the 90s,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And no one's wearing like super tight. The guys who still wear super tight jeans, like they look kind of funny
Yeah.
now when you see them at bars.
Everything old is new again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trends. So same thing with facelifts and same thing with all plastic surgery is trends. So I think that was the overly pulled, overly done look. Now with facelifts, here's the confusion. You also don't want to waste money, right, as a human. And so if you do a facelift too naturally, the effect doesn't last long.
Mhm.
So let's say you spend 50 to 100 to 200,000 now. They're going rates for facelifts between 50 to
Oof.
200,000. You
Okay.
can buy a house instead.
Yeah.
Right.
If you do that and it only lasts 5 to 10 years, how annoying. So then what surgeons say is, well, listen, I'm going to make it last 30 years, 20 years.
Hmm.
So what do? They pull so tight that it's going to last 20 years. But the problem is the first 5 years, you look ridiculous. And then it settles after 5 years. And then the next 10, 15 years looks good. But at what cost is that to you as a human?
So I guess did you know this about facelifts? I thought it was more of a one and done like my nose, but so it's
Nope.
because gravity over time is continually
The
changing
only
the
plastic
features.
surgery procedure that's one and done is the nose. Everything else you usually have to
Well,
maintain.
I mean,
Breasts,
yeah,
5
makes
to 10,
sense.
15
Yeah.
years. Facelifts,
Okay.
15 years. Eyelids, 10, 15 years. Even if you do your eyelids now as a young girl, you got to redo them in 15 years probably because of gravity.
Well, don't say that in front of my eyelids. They don't want to hear that. I already asked him about a bleph. He
I know I
doesn't do
want
blephs, but
to.
we're gonna get matching ones. It's fine.
Yeah, well, only I feel like just like that heavy, the corners of my eyes are like
Yeah.
becoming more like my eyes are getting smaller because the corners are just like way
Yeah, when you
in.
pull that up a little bit, it does open up the vector and just makes you look
Mhm.
a little more refreshed. Totally.
I know.
So I guess
See,
I know. So okay,
I
wait.
do consults at home all the time in the mirror. See,
So you do nose. What do you do? Anything?
I
Do you do facelift? You want to do mine or what's happening?
I thank you. I don't do faceless, but I
Mm.
can guide to the best of the best. I know who the best surgeons are in the world.
No, I already
I'm
asked
happy
you
to
at the
guide.
blephs. I'm not. I would only
Yeah.
go to who you
other
said to go
type of
to.
like facial things that like were really trending at the moment, like the threading.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that I mean, yeah, I think it was
I
giving
think
great results, but also the people that were getting them were like 22 years old. So like
right.
anything.
Well, two things. One, they always show the thread results right immediately after. Okay. So you always see a little blood still, you still see the
Mhm.
swelling, and they show those and they post them on Instagram. Always it's immediately after. What they never show is a 6 month result. And the reason that is because there is no result.
I've heard really bad things about threading. I've heard it's not
Yeah,
worth.
I would say that's my I'm anti-threading generally speaking. I'm not trying to, no offense to any threading companies or any doctors who do it. I personally don't think threads are useful in the longevity of faces
Mhm.
for three reasons. One, they're temporary. They don't lift as much as you think. Two, they do cause structural scar tissue and damage along the path. So if one day you end up getting a facelift, I'll tell you as for all my facelift surgeon friends that we hate threads. It's so annoying when you get in the face and you have to deal with scar tissue from threads and
Yeah.
or from sculpture, to be honest. We can talk about that too. And then number three, the problem with threads is that you usually are pulling unnaturally. The way that you pull with a facelift is you're pulling certain layers. The face has multiple layers. And so it's just like a recipe, like a lasagna dish, right? So you wouldn't put too much meat. If you're trying to pull lasagna, if you just pull it from the top, the whole thing's going to fall over. But if you want to pull it, you'd pull a little bit at the bottom, a little bit in the middle, a little bit,
Okay.
you'd pull the sheets appropriately. Versus you stick a thread and just pull the lasagna, the whole thing just kind of pulls unevenly and then it kind of falls over.
Well, call
Yeah.
me Garfield because I fucking love facelifts. I can't wait to get one. We've talked about it on this
Oh
show.
yeah. When would you recommend if someone wanted like
20s.
a low?
I'm just kidding.
It's like,
Okay.
really?
But like okay, like it's like
No.
a lower like something that's gonna
I
last for time, but like
I think 40s is probably the new 50s. I think it used to be 50s was 50s, 60s was the common age. I think now 40s is kind of creeped in. I think 40s is the new 50s now. And I think people in the 30s and 20s doing this stuff, I think is ridiculous. I do not think they should be doing it. I think it's absolutely nonsense. There's a
mhm.
certain amount of characteristic of you just not liking your face versus needing a facelift. Those are two different things.
Yeah, I think once like
Stop yelling
because
at me.
I don't have like
God,
I
it's
don't
been
have
so
like
informative.
complete like jowling, but like there'll be like this section of that like I don't think anything is gonna fix to that besides just
Pulling.
put the boot on, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I
Ugh.
think to some degree, but I think that brows and eyelid surgery is probably happening a lot in the 20s and 30s. And then I think facelift and mid facelift and neck lifts, these are happening more in the 40s and 50s now.
Okay.
Because I kind of arbitrarily threw out 47 for some reason for a facelift. Or
Sure.
like, guide us through what are our different facelift options. So if it's like a
Yeah.
47-year-old, pretty hot, has done Botox, maybe a little weathered of a woman though, no one in particular, comes in and they're like, I would like a facelift. Is it a full, like I've heard the term ponytail lift, like walk us through
Yeah.
the different
So they're all
things.
marketing. They're all marketing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all facelift terms are marketing. So whether it's called a ponytail lift or the 50 different names out there, they're all the same. The concept is you pull skin, and then underneath the skin is SMAS, which is the layer above the muscle, and underneath that is the muscle. There's three layers to it that you think about, and so it depends on which layers you're mobilizing, and then it also depends how high and how low you're going. So if you're including the lower part of the neck, or you're including up into the brow and the temple area. So really it's based on the locations of it, and it depends on the depths of it. That's really all it is.
Okay.
The names and the brand names don't matter. Those are completely irrelevant,
Okay.
because that's just marketing, which is great, it's like everything, but I would say that you think about it in terms of you want to pull depending on directionality. So if you're worried about your jowls, then you want a facelift that's gonna focus on face and neck, because that's
Mm.
really where you get that jowl aspect. Versus if you don't really have jowls, it's just more your mid face is a little lower, then you think about more the temple and brow and upper face. Truthfully, though, you end up doing a full facelift. The concepts of like just one part or the other is not as real as people think.
Mm.
It's kind of one thing because once you get
Mhm.
in there, being able to dissect this way or this way, once you're inside the face, makes no
It's like
difference. It's like a few extra spreads.
Did you know that? I didn't know
I
that.
know how would I have known that?
I don't know because you seem like you know things.
I
Who
don't
knows?
well, the only person I know like that experienced like their what their my was my mom. She not to call her out, but like
Did Terry have one?
Yeah. This was like 10 years ago,
Oh,
maybe?
okay. Well,
Wow.
it was BD's before Dayna, so that's okay to know.
Yeah.
Did she like it?
Yes. Like, I
Wow.
mean, it just gave her so much more confidence and just felt
Yeah.
like, 'cause she, like, my mom's always like, I just want to,
Uh-huh.
we all do that. Just a
You
little.
know, I know
Yeah.
that's the general language for I want a facelift is we're all just like just a
I
little
mean, arguably, I
is a
think
surgery.
ponytail facelift is incredible marketing because how many times you push your hair up and you're like,
Oh my God,
now
I
I look
know.
snatched.
Uh-huh.
I know. What a great term. Yeah.
I think it's great. And then there was also like what like the lunch break facelift or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
like supposed to be like a little bit more minimal. I don't think any of them are minimal when it's surgery,
No,
right?
not real surgery. And if it is minimal, that means it's not real surgery. And then if it is a lunch break facelift or whatever it's called, those are like basically just plumping your face up with filler and stuff. And we've seen how that
Dang.
goes bad really quickly if you overdo fillers. So I think over abuse of filler has kind of died down. I think,
Yeah.
thank God, we have seen
Yeah.
much more natural face come back. Because that was weird 2 years ago. Remember when everyone
I
was overfilled?
Well, that's what I
yeah.
was wondering if what had happened to Demi. I was like, because it just that puffiness and younger people. I'm sorry, it's up for public consumption because they're public figures. But Kylie Jenner allegedly, there was a one specific photo remember of her. It was in the daytime that you could see just with the lighting when it wasn't like her retouched professional photos and the pillowiness of her
Mhm.
face. And it was just so sad
Mhm.
because she's so young and so beautiful. So you're like, why are we
Yeah.
doing this?
Yeah, I'll also say access to we take care of a lot of celebrities, obviously sitting next to one right now. And I would say that the problem is they have access to us. Right. So like I'm being
Yeah.
honest, like if you're a very reasonable human, right? You're very smart and you don't abuse these things. But you could come be in my office every day, be like, Dr. Dugar, just a little more, Dr. Dugar, just a little bit more, just a little bit more.
Oh, if I win the lottery, you're
Right.
about to be sick of me. I'm about to be their weekly office visit, so
Hey,
I get
So,
yeah.
it.
but imagine a very wealthy celebrity who has a
Yeah.
doctor who is starstruck and wants to see them all the time and will do anything. Like, who's going to say no to them? And so, this is the Michael Jackson
Yeah.
phenomenon. How did he get 10 nose jobs? It's not because he just woke up one day. It's the doctors are enamored. It's an
Mhm.
honor to be able to touch these faces. And so, whether they're touching them rightfully or wrongfully, that's a whole different discussion.
I mean, I guess it's also up to them if they wanna look, like, freaky or not, but I
Yeah.
guess they get addicted to it.
You do get
And
addicted because you see
body dysmorphia that comes
100%,
in.
and I
Mhm.
think all of us are on the spectrum. I
Yeah.
think
Oh,
all spectrums, we're all on all
the
spectrums.
way we talk to each other, we're like, "Oh my god," and we're like, "Shut up."
How
Not
you
even
can
close.
see the people you love so clearly and you look at yourself and you're like in the mirror. It's so scary sometimes.
Well, it's so true, and I think that I've also learned too over the years is that
Mm,
we're not getting plastic surgery for other people. We're doing
mhm.
it
Yeah.
truly for how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, how girls don't wear makeup for boys? You do it
No.
for yourself. You don't dress up for boys, you
We
do it
don't
for
do
No.
anything
yourself.
for men in this room,
Yeah,
but yeah,
and I love
I get
that.
what you're saying.
But it's same with plastic surgery. You're not getting your boobs done or your nose done for boys. You're doing it because of how you see yourself. You're not even doing it because your
True.
friends.
No,
Your friends
yeah.
tell you you're perfect. Your mom and dad say you're perfect. You're doing it because of
Totally.
how you see yourself.
Yeah, you live in this skin, you look at this mug all day, and may as well enjoy the view.
Well, and but that's where it's nice that you guys talk about it because a lot of friends don't have someone to talk to. And then they end up in a doctor's office. That's the only person they can talk
Yeah.
to. And if the doctor is a sleazy salesman, they're getting surgery.
Well,
Mm.
I will say a lot of people in my life tried to talk me out of getting my nose
That's
done, but
beautiful. I love that.
I just knew
Mm.
inherently that I was going to be right.
Yeah.
So it
I feel
and
like,
with
yeah,
the surgeon, but
ultimately has to come down to, like, if it's gonna make you happy, like,
yeah,
to live your life. Like, if it makes
totally.
you
Yeah.
happy, then what's no one then those people that disagree with it, they themselves should not do it for themselves,
Right.
like, but it doesn't affect your life, I guess, so
Yeah.
why not be supportive? But so if people okay, let's say they don't wanna go under the knife, but, like,
Sure.
we were talking about, like, injectables and, like,
Yeah.
filler, scary. I've had it, like, in my lips over the years, but never in my face, but we love Botox here.
Yeah.
And but I think
We're big
Botox
fans of Botox.
so is there anything, like, besides just, like, obviously, like, forehead, or, like, people get it in their eye area,
Hmm.
like, is there any, like, useful, like, methods of Botox to maybe prevent, like, having to go in for, like, a facelift or something? Like, what like, I know some people
Yeah.
get it
So
in their
one thing
neck.
is neck. So Nefertiti Botox,
Nefertiti, that's what
basically platysma Botox. So the platysma muscle is the next muscle in your neck. If you like kind of scrunch your neck, you see how those muscles pop out.
mhm.
These over time keep pulling down, and that's what pulls down your jowls. This is all connected. So there's a muscle in your face called the SMAS, the superficial muscular aponeurotic system that
And
connects
that's
from
the
your forehead
okay.
all the way down
It
to your
does which is the one that
clavicle.
goes up into your, like, scalp.
Yeah, the
Same
whole
thing.
thing,
Oh
all
god.
the way down, and that muscle pulls, and so from the bottom of your neck, this platysma muscle is pulling on the depressor anguli oris muscle, which is pulling on your cheek muscles. All of it's being pulled down. So by doing Botox on the platysma, Botox Dysport, you weaken that pull down effect. So I have a lot of patients we've been doing neck Botox on for 10, 15 years.
I
And it's incredible when
Will
you
you
study
do
their
that to me next time?
counterparts.
Because
Of
here's the
course.
thing, my neck is very necky lately. I literally the day I turned 34, it's just like a new thing that happens. It's fine, it's aging, whatever, but my neck I've really been noticing. So
Mm,
let's do some of
the
that.
neck is, like,
maintenance.
also
Good
affecting,
juice.
like, the having, like, a more pronounced or defined jawline too, because
Mhm.
it will hold, like, this area too, I'm sure.
Totally.
I have had it also in my traps, which I think has
Yeah,
been
trap talk's
life
huge.
changing. I mean, yeah, like, for aesthetics, it's one thing, but also, like, I'm someone that, like, every ounce of stress I feel goes directly
Yeah.
to, like, my neck and shoulder, so
Yes.
I'm like this all the time. So, like,
I
it
I love hearing that because I actually think trap talks for cosmetics is stupid. I think it's pointless. I don't think it makes a huge difference. I think it makes a huge difference for lifestyle. If
yeah.
you carry a lot of tension in your traps, it's life changing. I
Oh,
mean, there's
yeah.
nothing physical therapy or a masseuse can do to break up that tension like a good dose of Botox in your traps.
It's oh, yeah. I I feel so much better
I know mine
after.
is really I should probably be doing that also. In terms of Botox, here's a question. Is it bullshit, true or false, the preventative? Because people argue
Mm.
about this and you were just saying buzzwords and branding. Is that bullshit or is it effective?
I think it's kind of bullshit. I think preventative meaning that you have strong enough wrinkles that are setting. I think the thing everyone should do if you want to study your face right now, you're listening, is you look in the mirror, raise your forehead up, scrunch your eyebrows, smile really
Oh,
big, and then let
Botox?
I have
go.
Botox.
And let go. And if you still see the wrinkles, then it's time if you want to. But if you don't see the wrinkles and you let go, then you don't really have to think about it yet. Wrinkles that stay is what we consider as treatable wrinkles. But if you do the motion and you let go and there's no physical lines afterwards, I think treating that is kind of pointless.
Mhm.
It really does bum me out when I see 22-year-olds getting
Me too.
Botox. I'm like,
Me
"You guys,"
too.
and to be fair, I think I was 29
Mm,
when I started getting it
mhm.
regularly. I think I had it once when I was 28 and then 29 to 30. I think 30 is a good age. And what is your opinion about when you should start if you're
Well,
wanting to?
I will say you are comparing to Caucasian skin human,
Okay.
and that
Mhm.
changes because I will tell you there's 45-year-old Asian women who I tell them they still don't need Botox.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah,
not gonna be
yeah.
it's
That's
gotta be
so
based on
true.
your culture, your race, your ethnicity, your skin type, and there are some 23 sun worshipers who they need it already. And so I think it depends on your skin type and it depends on your physical, but yeah, there's 40-year-olds who I say don't need Botox still.
How do you feel about SPF?
SPF I think is important depending on the UV factor. You gotta look at UV. If you look on your phone, the weather app, you can actually see what the UV rating is. If
Mhm.
it's less than 3, you actually don't even need to wear SPF.
Huh.
And most days in LA, when it's cloudy, it's less than 3. So, I think SPF's important, you should wear it most days, but you don't have to wear it if you're gonna be under 3 UV and mostly inside, but I think if you're ever outside, you should typically wear
The sunburn on my back is so embarrassing.
We're big sunscreen gals. I'm like
I
shocked
know
that happened to you because you're
I
so
know,
good
well,
about
because I it
sunscreen
was
like
like
me.
this the sun started moving, and then all of a sudden my back was in the sun for, like, 20 minutes, and I just got pink.
Yeah, you
Ugh.
did. So not like you.
I know, because I had what's funny is I had the SPF sitting right next to me. I just was, like, in a conversation.
How strong of SPF do you like?
I'll go, like, 50.
Nice. I
Yeah,
like
I
it.
don't know, 30
I like it.
30 will I'm having to reapply constantly, I feel like. I'm, like, crazy about it. I feel like when I get up into 70, I don't even think that's is that
I
even
agree, I think 50 is probably a good number. I think 50 is good.
50's
I
solid.
just one of the products I got in Japan, and I'm obsessed with it, and I got like 4 bottles of it, but I can already tell it's gonna run out really fast, is not a spray like
Like
but
an
a spray like
atomizer. Oh.
no, it's a
Mm.
sun and
Oh.
it's a sunscreen, so what I do is I put my makeup on and then then I put
Mm.
my powder on over it, because the thing is when reapplying with SPF, it's a pain in the ass if you're wearing makeup, and I'm like, "Why don't we have this here?" This you know which kind I'm
Mm.
talking
I
about?
don't know. I
I
shellac.
love it,
I'll do,
but it's 50.
SPF as,
Yeah.
like, the last step in skincare, and then I use, like, usually, like, a serum or a foundation that has SPF in it as well.
I
So I'm,
heard
like,
that's
Ah.
shellacking my face
I
with
know,
it.
I heard that's not as effective because
Well, that's why
how much is
I
in
put
it.
the other stuff on
Right.
underneath too.
I don't know, I just love it as a product, but I'm big SPF. I mean, I grew up in Seattle, so I saw the sun like 3 times in
Right.
Hmm.
my formative years, but back to you said Sculptra earlier. What
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah,
Sculptra is
Have you heard of
basically
it?
it sounds familiar, but I don't remember what that
yeah,
is.
what it's trying to do is just basically create your own tissue. That's what it is. So it's a biostimulator. So you inject it, it tries to stimulate your natural collagen production. However,
Mm.
it's all collagen is not equal. And that's what everyone needs to remember. So there's different types of collagen. So there's collagen 1, 2, 3, there's different types. And when it creates collagen, it doesn't always create collagen in the same way a youthful appearance can be created. You
Oh.
can overstimulate bad collagen formation or good collagen formation. So I think generally speaking, it's an okay product depending on where you're placing it. I think it can be overused and overabused. I'll tell you a lot of facelift surgeons hate it because it does make it a little harder and a little bit more challenging doing a facelift. That being said, that's what they get paid to do. That's why they're being paid house mortgages.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Sculpture is okay and the right candidate. The reason I'm not a huge fan of things like Sculptra and Radiesse, especially Radiesse is like polysynthetic bone, basically bone matrix that they're injecting.
What?
These things are not reversible versus hyaluronic acids like Juvederm, Restylane. You've heard of these brands.
They
These are all
metabolize?
reversible. So you get your lips done. Usually it's going to be Juvederm, Restylane. You can reverse it. So if there's any issue with it, if you don't like it, if there's a weird bump, if you feel like it migrated, you can always dissolve it with what's called hyaluronidase. It's an enzyme that dissolves it. But with Sculpture and Radiesse, there's no dissolving. And so if it lasts 6 to 10 years, 5 to 10 years, whatever it is, so does the problem potentially. That's one thing
Mm.
I always caveat is be careful with your face injecting things that
Yeah.
cannot be reversed.
Well, that's why I'm like waiting to just like kind of see how it goes for other people. Also, just see like where it trends into. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
see, like that's why with the threading, at first you're kind of like, oh, you get a little itchy to go do it, but then you're like, I don't know about this. So now people are doing like a lot of the stem cell injecting
Oh
and
my
also
gosh, yes.
this salmon
Salmon
sperm.
sperm.
What do you feel about those?
I think if you want to throw money away and have fun and sound cool, it's awesome.
Really?
I think these things work a little bit. I'm not going to say they don't work. I will say they promote them as if they work 100%, and in reality, they probably work 10%. So I don't think they don't work. I think these
Okay.
things are a 10% improvement, but they get promoted as if there's some godly change of the world. They're not. They're just a little
Okay.
10% improvement. Exosomes, I will say that certain things I think work better. I think your own biostimulators from your body, like PRP, I still think is
Mhm.
amazing. I think PRP is fantastic because you're taking it from your own body and you're not using some company selling some product. It's literally taking your own blood, spinning it, reutilizing your own stem cells from your own body back into your own body.
Which your
That's
body will know what to
beautiful.
do with.
Yeah,
It'll
and,
recognize.
and, and your body knows what to do with it. It's your own body inside. It's not
Yeah.
a chemical. It's not like some sperm from a horny fish. It's just truthfully, it's what your own body can do with its own regeneration
And that makes
versus
sense.
these other products.
I know, because I was thinking about like do this new thing, or because I've had a lot of friends do PRP and they have amazing results, and I'm like, okay, like that's interesting, but versus like something that's potentially synthetic or coming from an outside foreign source that's not my
Yeah.
body.
Not an ad, but because I talked
Mm.
about it on here, you doing my
Yeah.
my PRP,
Yeah.
and I feel like I mean that because I've done lip filler before, but I got it removed. It's not for me, and I'm really hesitant about filler after watching the last few years of people looking funky. But when I was there, you told me there's a PRP gel and then PRP. So what is the difference between those two things?
Yeah, so PRP is just your natural PRP. You take it out, you spin it. There's different things, PRP, PRF. There's different ways you can spin it, and there's different additives you can add to make these into different substitutes. There's a new thing called PRP Easy Gel. Basically, what you do is they put a gel synthetic into it that makes it last longer. So it's almost like creating a filler out of your own PRP. So rather than using hyaluronic acid filler, it's kind of like your PRP becomes a filler. This is
Oh,
brand new. It's not something that's completely known yet, whether it makes a huge impact or not, whether it lasts any longer or not. It gives superficial coating, so it makes it look really cool for a little bit. Whether it does anything long term, we don't know. But that being said, neither do fillers technically. So if it
Mm.
lasts as long as fillers, maybe it's just as good. We don't
I
know
know.
yet.
I was told that Desport would last longer than Botox,
Botox.
but not for me.
Mm-mm.
Regular, just the OG is what
OG
my
Botox
face
you like better? I
I
like
do.
OG Dysport better, but I think they're all very similar. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna promote any companies on it, but it's like Tylenol or generic acetaminophen. Some people swear by, "I need the Tylenol brand," and some people are like, "Just give me any acetaminophen, it works the same."
Just give it
Right.
to me.
Kind of getting
Yeah.
lost in
Just kidding.
semantics. I know
Uh,
we're like, give us everything. I'm curious where you stand on filler in general, because
Yeah,
we do obviously at least I do talk certain shit about it, but
sure.
I also think there's probably a time and a place. But so people listening, should they do it? Where should they do it? What's the deal?
I think filler is like any other paint. I think it really depends on who's doing it. So you can give a paintbrush and a canvas to anybody, or you can give it to Picasso, and they're going to create this two different things. But they have the same paint, same paintbrush, same canvas, right? But one is making a masterpiece. So the same thing with filler. If you use it really gently, really delicately, you're in the right planes. You use cannulas. You're doing gentle dissection. You decrease bruising. You use just the right amounts. You're lifting superficial versus deep, under the muscle versus super muscle versus intradermal. There's so many techniques involved
wow.
versus just thinking of it as a filler. And that's where I think the med spa industry has kind of ruined the concepts of cosmetics. They turn it into commodity which is
Mhm.
good for the masses so that everyone can reach it because not everyone can afford to go to a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon. I get it. So we want this to be to the masses, but at the same time, when you go to the masses, you get dilution of the service as well. And so the
Mhm.
dilution of the service is that you have nurses who sometimes are really passionate and sometimes are just in it for the paycheck. And so when
Yeah.
they do filler, they just stick a needle in, squirt, and they're done. Versus you have some nurses who are like, all right, let me get in the right plane. Let me put the right amount. Let me make sure it looks perfect. Come back in 2 weeks. Let me follow up with you. So I would say find a provider, whether it's a nurse, a dermatologist, plastic surgeon, whoever it is, who's passionate about it, cares about the results, is not just trying to get paid and has a follow-up system with you. So if you don't like your results, there's a process you can go back and talk to them. Also, make sure they have an emergency
Mm.
protocol. What happens if there's vascular occlusion? What
What is
happens?
that?
That's where you
Yeah,
can
what?
clog a blood vessel with the filler, and then you can either, worst case scenario, get blindness.
Oh my
And
god.
then other worst case scenarios, you get what's called necrosis of the tissue that they injected it around, where you can lose the blood supply to the tissue. These are very
Holy
rare. I'm
shit.
not trying to scare anyone. Super rare. Like, so this is like planes falling out of the sky rare.
Well,
But that
Well,
being said,
unfortunately, you're saying that in 2025. If you had said that last year, I'd have believed you.
yeah, we'd be
Anyway,
like,
keep
totally.
going.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
It's like quicksand.
yeah, yeah, like you see
Quicksand is better.
there's someone who yesterday the sinkhole and the motorcyclist.
motorcycle?
You
Oh
saw
yeah.
that?
Yeah, big bummer. I wish I hadn't seen it. Anyway, it's not impossible, is what we're saying.
Yes, not impossible, but I will say that you want someone who's prepared for that. So, do they have Vitrace in their clinic? Do they have an emergency system? Do they have access to send you hyperbaric oxygen? Do they have all these protocols in place? And if they don't have all these things, run. Never get filler from someone who's just doing it for the first time.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a controversial filler procedure that I find fascinating. A penis filler.
Ooh, yeah, I've heard of this.
What?
Yeah, it's Scrotox. Like, yeah,
Scrotox,
you know
yeah.
what? I went we saw the before and afters, and I have seen some interesting penis but I didn't know how sad some are. So I'm happy that this exists for them because it's like, yeah, they can enhance the girth of
Girth,
their
yeah.
wiener. And also like make their balls hang lower.
Okay, also, if there's any men listening out there, I'm sorry. As a woman,
I know,
no
but
one cares about
listen-
balls. I don't know why people are so
Because-
like. funny
Listen,
about
you
this.
know what? The same way they're probably fascinated by breast augmentation. I don't know. Like, I just the fact that this is thing, and there's this. I don't know his name, so I'm not gonna throw him. But like, he's like kind of like the guy, and like there's a lot of men. I don't know. What are your thoughts
Like
on
he's
this?
the
Well,
provider.
He's the
He's doing the procedures.
Like
yeah
the guy in
boner
LA.
Botox man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, down there.
Is it real?
So it's a real thing. This
Mhm.
happens. Girth is the only thing you can increase on the penis. You cannot increase length with filler. Very dangerous to even think that. So just making sure any guys listening, you
Yeah.
cannot make it longer. You can make it girthier. It's a very risky procedure. What they're doing is they're
Mhm.
literally injecting circumferentially around the penis in order to get it more volume, just like you would make the lips thicker. It's same concept, just to give it a little bit more girth. We're talking here like maybe a centimeter or two, so it's not some major transformation. And then second of all, they call it Scrotox. They're injecting Botox in the balls to make them look more aesthetically appealing. This is again very controversial. This is something that you're going to find a niche provider to do this. And the average course of action, this is not a common procedure, of
Like
course.
if someone wants to put their balls at risk, it's kind of wild. But
Yes.
I mean,
I mean, you need to-
the
it might
before
be-
and afters are
I
fascinating.
don't know. I'll have to. I'll take a look and be the judge of that. But I'm like, you have to take it back to God if we need to make them more aesthetically
But
pleasing. It's just
I
like
think for some people, like for men when they're flaccid, or what is that the word when they're
Flat.
Yeah.
don't have a boner? It's like that's when like
the professional term for don't have a boner.
that.
We do science here in this room. We're
Yes,
doctors.
very very professional here.
Look at you both scrubs.
But yeah, no, I mean, listen, like I said, the before and afters, I was like, I get it. I get why this man and this man and this man.
Can I ask you guys a controversial question? Why is it okay for women to get a labiaplasty, but for
Exactly.
men not to be able to get penis filler?
Oh, I'm all for everyone. I just think in general, which I guess a labiaplasty too, but just the balls don't make sense to me.
Got
but I'm
it.
not a
So just the
man, so
balls.
it's this is like a ball specific thing for me. And but also like, what are the risks with the penis injection? Is it
Yeah, same.
lack of use?
Vascular necrosis, the same major issue. So if you accidentally get into a blood vessel there, I mean,
There's a lot of
gosh.
blood vessels.
A lot of blood
Yeah,
vessels,
so
so
that,
that would
to
be
me is just
scary.
scary. But no, I'm so pro men doing things that make them feel good about them. Everyone should
Yeah.
do whatever makes you feel good about
I mean,
yourself.
I feel
that's
the
safe.
same about as if someone wants to get Prince Albert. It's like, you know what? That is your member to do whatever you want with.
Until it becomes your problem. But yeah, it's like do whatever you want to do out there.
But that again, you would say as a girl, that is purely the guy doing it for himself. Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Any guy
absolutely.
guys do not do that for women.
No.
They don't care.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the same. Like again, it's just like they want to look better in the mirror when they're naked for their own
Mhm.
eyes. Then yeah, I think have you ever like not been happy with your body and you like avoid the mirror? You're like, ooh.
That's since 1992. What are you talking about? I have
Okay,
not
so
seen myself naked since I was a child. People think podcasting is just talking to a mic, but let me tell you, my brain doesn't just shut off when the mic is off. That's why I don't sleep, you guys, obviously. Between planning episodes, researching topics, and that 3 a.m. spiral where I rethink everything I've ever said, sleep wasn't exactly my strong suit. Hello.
No, you struggle. And don't get me started on those late night creative bursts that hit right when you finally lay down. Ugh, that's when I do my best work.
Mhm.
I knew I needed something to help me actually wind down and not just knock me out, but help me wake up feeling like a functioning human.
That's when I found Beam's Dream Powder, and let me tell you, it's changed everything. Dream is a science backed, all natural sleep blend designed to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. All three things I wasn't really good at before. And unlike other sleep aids, there's no next day grogginess, just real deep sleep that helps you actually feel good in the morning. We love a feel
Well,
good morning. So unlike us.
I know. Well, since adding Dream to my routine, I'm sleeping through the night without tossing and turning and waking up every hour on the hour. I wake up and actually feel refreshed, not groggy, not exhausted, just ready to take on the day. And I'm not the only one. Beam has improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep, and 92% of users surveyed reported better sleep and waking up refreshed.
What I love the most? Beam is an American company built and run right here. So when you support them, you're backing real people making great products the right way.
Plus, for a limited time, Beam is giving our listeners their best offer yet, up to 40% off. Try their best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. Go to shopbeam.com/disrespectfully and use code disrespectfully at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/disrespectfully and use code disrespectfully for up to 40% off.
To not to go from Prince Albert to Christina Aguilera, but so I would liken her to the Demi Moore of it all. Do you think that
Mhm.
they're all just having good, more subtle facelifts, or just like good work in general, or like are there other procedures we need to know about? Like, what don't the people at home know about that everyone's getting?
Yeah, so I would say, generally speaking, I think people are doing less filler than they used to do. And if they're doing more filler, they're doing it in a more superficial plane. So there's a deep dermal filler that you can do versus a more superficial
Mm.
layering of filler where you can lift the skin up instead of
Oh.
doing underneath to plump it out. So there's volumizing filler and then there is just density filler. So that's number one, making the skin thicker. Number two, I think people, again, access and money, you can do a lot of radio frequency tightening. I think that's probably the most beneficial laser that exists is basic bread and butter radio frequency lasers that tighten the skin. These don't do much if you only do one session. These are things that you have to do 7 to 10 sessions a
This is like
year.
the Morpheus of them?
No,
No, which one?
Morpheus is a very intensive needle
Needle.
prongs in the skin, delivering radio frequency deep to your skin. That's a very serious, very intense procedure, very controversial nowadays on whether it's actually effective or not.
Mm.
Where do you stand on that?
I
Morpheus.
think Morpheus works on the right patient. I think it just depends. I don't think everyone should be getting Morpheus. I think
Mm.
that's
Okay.
kind of a
So
fallacy
what
that the
are the
companies want.
best like radio frequency or laser procedures that you
Well, I
think?
think the basic ones, the old school ones that are like BTL, basic radio frequency lasers that are just literally rubbing on your face, and you as a consumer feel like, well, this didn't do much. It does over time. It's like sit-ups.
Do you
It's
have to
very
do it like
annoying.
every other month or?
Yes, you do it almost like once or twice. I would say if you study the average major celebrity that is just looking ridiculously unnecessarily good compared to what they should be looking, I think they're doing a lot of basic maintenance that we're not seeing behind the scenes. It's like, have you ever seen like the Kardashians posting with like their physician at 10 p.m. Kind of thing, and they're like, it's you got to have access almost to be able to
Yeah.
do it this frequently. You can purchase doctors, it turns out. It just you have to pay a lot.
If somebody has like a lot of like, so I have a titanium plate in my jaw and also like dental implants in the front. What kind of things do people in my position need to avoid?
That's interesting. So
Great question.
you would maybe be contraindicated to a lot of lasers because of that. You know,
Mhm.
because you could take potentially heat from that, and that could cause a burn.
Yeah.
That would be the number one concern. That's
Mm,
the only thing people would be worried about is conduction of the
Mhm.
electricity and the energy in your body.
That's a
But with
bummer.
grounding techniques, usually this works really well. Science has advanced so much. So usually any procedure
grounding
you have,
pad.
you get grounding pads, right? And so usually that would absorb the energy. It's
Mhm.
very similar to if you get surgery and you have an earring in your ear. Surgeons always tell you to take off your jewelry before any surgery, right? It's because we use cautery sometimes, and that energy can go to that metal. So it'd be the same concept. Usually titanium doesn't usually draw energy like that, so you'd
And I
probably be
think that's
fine,
why
but
they use it in a lot of but for,
correct.
like, I don't know what kinda implants I have in like, I just feel like there's a lot of, like, metallic I don't know, in my
Yeah.
face.
Sorry, what was it called? The classic one that you like? BLT.
BLT is the company, and they have, like, radio frequency
Mm.
wands, but it's like a very
It's just
basic
called radio frequency.
radio frequency. Yeah, radio frequency wands, like, not the thermal penetration ones, like, Morpheus uses needles, and they do deep radio frequency energy, which is basically trying to cook the skin underneath it and into the muscle layer. That is very complex stuff, and whether or not it actually works really well or not, that's up to the patient. There's a lot of patients get great results, some patients don't get as great results. Some of these lasers, I will say, after a few years, disappear. I'll give you an example of one that if anyone's still using, I'm sorry, but cool sculpting, if you ever heard of that
Oh,
5, 10
yeah.
years
I
ago, was
who
massive.
who was that famous model who was completely deformed
Yep,
by one?
yep,
I can't remember what
yep,
her name was,
yep, and
but
she had, like, a multi-class action lawsuit against them, and,
yes,
I'm sure they paid her.
I asked my
Zeltiq was the old company.
I asked my old dermatologist to do I have cellulite, I will always have cellulite, it doesn't matter my weight, it's just genetically, it's just, like, I'm prone to it. So I asked him to do that, and I'm so glad that he was a Dr. Dugar. He was like, "No, we're not
Yeah,
Mhm.
doing that
yeah,
for
yeah,
you,"
yeah.
and, like,
Good,
there's all
good,
these
good.
studies coming out and whatever. So is cool sculpting still around?
Only if you are a med spa that bought one and it was very expensive, and it's kinda like, someone who bought, a very expensive car that no one drives anymore kinda thing, and you're
Mm.
just like, "I don't wanna, like, throw it away," so I think they still offer it. But nobody I'll tell you, the sales of new cool sculpting machines is probably close to 0, I'll put it
Their
that way.
stock is dropped.
So how long do you think they were on the market before all of a sudden people are having
So, this is
problems?
the moral of the lesson. So, anything new, Katie said it best, wait, just let everyone make their mistakes, watch what people are doing before you jump into these things. Because usually within 2, 3 years, you'll find out if it's gonna stick around. 3 years ago, Threads was the hottest term in the
Mhm.
world. I don't really hear anyone talking about Threads today. Do you guys is it that common anymore?
No,
I
I've
don't
heard
No.
people they snap and people have all kinds
Yeah,
of issues, but I remember when
totally.
I was
Yeah.
interested in it when it
Like
first
3,
came
4
out.
years ago, so hot. 5, 10 years ago, everyone's talking about cool sculpting, freeze the fat. It was like a whole campaign. Nobody's talking about that today because it doesn't work.
Well, I think some people are also posting some of their, like, 6 months to a year out of the threads, and it was like
Yeah,
there was, like, weird demarcation almost of, like,
totally.
maybe where the scar tissue has happened and it's affected, like, muscle, I don't know. It looks weird.
Well, and it's kinda like the pharmaceutical industry in the sense of, like, there is a lot of promotion because there's a lot of money behind these machines. Like, to develop a cool sculpting machine costs, like, 2 to $300 million in research.
Jeez.
So the company must then sell at least 2 to $300 million to break even, and they need to sell more than that, obviously, to be a business. So they must push it out, and they must get you to promote. So as a physician, our job is not to be bought by these companies, it's
Mhm.
to make active decisions on what's right or wrong for our patients. So I would say there's trends that come and go, machines that come and go, but there's basic things that celebrities are doing. So back to your question about it, I think radio frequency, basic, good old fashioned, boring, rubbing on your face radio frequency wands that are very cheap, they work really well. I would say basic filler and Botox done really minimally does really well. Minimal facelift surgeries and minimal brow surgeries that just lift an uptick a little bit. Subtle finesse rhinoplasties, subtle finesse liposuction techniques, it's all about the minimalism. I think that's what makes you look the best, and I think that's what
Yeah.
celebrities are
N
winning with.
Nothing too drastic. Wait, so when I'm just going by myself. So could I do, like, a radio frequency, just not a laser? Or is it the same
Maybe,
thing?
so it depends.
Okay.
Radio frequency is also their, energy exchange, so, a
Oh,
lot of companies would probably contraindicate depending on what type of implants you have.
okay.
So, like, hip implants, knee implants, these are very common implants that people have, and so there are contraindications. You would have to discuss it with the provider
Yeah.
to
Okay.
understand, but we could talk about it.
But I
Do
like
you
it.
have one of those things?
Yeah, yeah, our office does, so call me.
I'm going to. Well, I'm already like making notes about what our next appointment's gonna be like.
I'm
I
like,
want to do
yeah.
that. Really quick, I do want to circle back to Morpheus because I have heard maybe it's a contraindication or whatever now that what you're talking about is it's so deep and intense that people are basically saying buzzwords about like removing the fat or whatever, but we require fat in our face to
Of
look
course.
youthful.
Of
And so
Yeah.
course.
people are saying it makes you look gaunt. And like, have you run into any of that, or have you seen people with
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
results?
I mean, there was another laser about 5, 6 years ago that was very popularized. It was very similar. It was a deep radio frequency laser, completely off the market now because it was melting fat asymmetrically on people's faces.
Oh,
And so this was a very popular laser.
Oh,
It's completely gone. No one uses it now. But it was, the thing is, when you buy these lasers as a doctor, it's a huge investment. It's like 2 to 3, 400,000 sometimes.
yeah.
So as a physician, if you spend that much money on a device, on a toy, you're going to promote it. You're going to put it on your
Mhm.
social media. You're going to put it everywhere. You're going to tell everyone it's the best thing in the world. It's Jesus come to life. You're going to make it such a big thing because you need to make your money back. You just spent
yeah,
$400,000 on a toy.
yeah,
And so
Yeah.
the problem is once you see the long-term results, and this is what we're seeing with a lot of these devices, is they release energy in a way that we can't control as the doctor. And so if it releases too much somewhere that it shouldn't have released too much, it can kill some fat. It can cause dystrophy and atrophy of certain muscles. You can get these things that create asymmetries later that are really hard to fix. So that's the only thing is be careful. Not everyone's a candidate. Trust your provider. The key is finding the right provider. More than the device is the provider. So it's not
Yeah.
about the Botox or the Dysport or the laser. It's about the provider who's doing it. It's like the podcast. You can listen to any podcast, but this is the best one because of
Yeah.
who's on the podcast.
you're so right.
Wow.
We're doctors. I know he just gave us an honorary doctorate. I
Yeah.
feel like obviously not a doctor, but as someone who loves plastic surgery and has gotten a rhinoplasty and all these other procedures, I am such an advocate for this because especially on your
Mhm.
face is this is your home and that is the first thing people see. And so if you take anything away from this conversation, I would echo that. It just in terms of someone who gets and loves plastic surgery. Do not go if it's too good to be true. If
Mhm.
someone
Yeah.
gives you a buy one nose, get one off,
Yeah. Oh my
they're gonna
gosh.
take
Yes.
one off is what they're
Yeah.
saying. So just
Yes.
be very careful about who you trust
Yes.
with your cosmetic
Mhm.
procedures.
And I
Yes.
think, like, be conservative about it too, like,
Yes.
you can always get more.
Yes.
You can't go the other way.
Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Oh, I
So
was
correct.
I was terrified even though I trusted him. Like I have you have your cast on for a week. You come back and by the way, I had the least bruising that I think anyone I know who's gotten a nose job. Everyone was
Yeah.
like, "You got a nose job?" And even with my PRP, I sent you a photo the next morning because I
Yeah.
had that
At the
event
Oscars event.
and you didn't want
Yeah.
me to do it. And I was
I
like, "No,
know.
I trust you. Just do it."
Yeah.
No bruising. But anyway, so he takes my cast off and then you see it immediately. And I was like, "Oh, everyone's about to be sick of me because I look hot." But I was so scared to even get the cast off. And so it's a big deal to
It
make these
is.
changes, especially if they're permanent. So please,
Yes.
God,
Yeah.
go to someone you trust. And actually, that's a question I want you to help people with. If they don't have a Dr. Dugar in their life
Sure.
that they have the phone number of and can just text it
Mm.
any old time,
Sure.
how do we properly vet who we are going to?
Okay. So this one I would say multifold. So I would say before it was all about reading reviews, but the problem is reviews have gotten so filtered nowadays. Like
Yeah.
doctors who have bad reviews, they pump in thousands of good ones so that you kind of get the bad ones hidden. So I would say read reviews. But number two, this sounds very basic. It's like brushing your teeth in the morning, but they got to have the certifications. So just make sure they're board certified. For plastic surgery, you want either board certified by the American Board of Facial Plastic Surgery. So that's an ENT facial plastic surgeon, or you want American Board of Plastic Surgery, so ABPS. So that's a plastic surgeon. So two types. And then for eye surgery, there's another one, oculoplastic surgeons. They're a specialty from ophthalmology that do oculoplastic surgery. So someone who has a board certification in real plastic surgery, not cosmetic surgery. Cosmetic surgery is fake. It doesn't exist. It's just people who train to do cosmetic surgery, but there's not actually a governing board behind it, if that makes sense. So it's
Uh,
like a pediatrician who decides they want to do liposuction. Nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. And then what they do is they get this cosmetic surgery license, and they're
oh.
called cosmetic surgeons, or like an internal medicine doctor who does liposuction. They're cosmetic surgeons, but they're not board certified. So they're not truly American Academy of Facial Plastic Surgeons. They're not American Board Plastic Surgeons. They're not oculoplastic surgeons. These are real credited agencies. That's number two. And then number three, I would say is you got to study the work. People
Mhm.
show you who they are in life.
I believe that.
Everyone shows you who they are.
Facts.
You can choose not to listen to them. So if you go to my website, scarlessnose.com, and you look at my work and you see my noses and you say to yourself, I want a little cutesy. I want a little bit more Barbie-ish. And you still come to me and you get surgery with me and you don't get the Barbie nose you want, you might be upset, right? But I showed you who I am. I showed you my work. I showed you how
Yeah.
natural I keep it, right? So that's the same thing with other surgeons' work. if you see a surgeon, you see the work and you're like, that's not exactly what I like, but he seems like a nice guy. I'll just go to him. That you're not going to end up okay. So you must listen to the surgeon. They're showing you what they're good at. And if they don't show you any work, they can't show you too many before and afters. They're
Mhm.
telling you they don't have enough work to show you. Listen
Yeah.
to that as well. Walk
Ooh.
away.
Mhm.
Okay. Also, separate from that, but I know it's like on our list, and I'm curious about it too. How do you feel about people that aren't like honest about some of the work that they've done? It's very
Mm.
clear that something happened, but they're just like, I'm
Public
just,
public figure people.
Public
yeah,
figure
yeah. No, I
people.
mean, like, and again, like, I know no one owes that, like, what they, that's their own personal business. But if you're literally gonna turn back
Yeah.
the clock 20 years,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
better come with some type
Well,
of
you
like
don't think it's olive
explanation on.
oil?
No.
Well, I
Mm.
I think also people toy with words, right? So a lot of celebrities say, "I've never had plastic surgery on my face." They don't think fillers is plastic surgery. They don't think Botox is plastic surgery. They don't think PRP is plastic surgery. They don't think exosomes, a salmon sperm fate. They don't think any of this is plastic surgery. So are they lying? And then there are people who've had plastic surgery, but they do it in such a subtle way. Like if
Mhm,
Dana walked around and never told anyone she had her nose done, nobody would know.
mhm.
Nobody would ever know you had your nose done. You're just
But that's the kind of work I like, and you have some people that want to look like that fake little Barbie nose, or
of
what, like
course, of
people who
course.
actually want that look. But
Yes, yes, but if they wanted a conservative natural result, my whole thing is if you're gonna lie to the public, at least get away with it. Let it be
Okay.
natural versus if you do something very transformative that looks so dramatic, and we all saw you last year, and we know what you looked at that red carpet, and now this red carpet, you look 20 years younger. Come on, don't be silly.
Share with the
I
class.
think it's
Yeah.
I think it's so actually endearing and vulnerable, and you like someone that much more when they have a procedure done and they're like, "Yeah, I have the resources. This is my life. I can do with it. Yeah, I got this done." Like
Mhm.
it's strange to me that people are so hush hush about it, and that's obviously also not new. That's been a thing in
Oh,
Hollywood for
100
as long
years,
as it's been
100
around.
years,
But
100 years.
how do you feel about it?
Again, I just feel like it's like, okay, no one owes the explanation, but it's like if you're straight up lying or being like evasive and like kind of doing like interviews and saying like, I've never had it, like, it's sort of like, shut up. I feel like it's just such like a disingenuous thing. It makes me like not trust you. Like, I don't like
Yeah.
when people lie. I don't like secrets. And again, it's like, you don't know that to me, but I think it's just, I think there's just a classy way to just be like, one day I'll talk about it, but yeah, you're not
Ah,
wrong.
that's cute. I like that. Yeah.
Cause then someone's like, okay, well, TBD, like,
Well, I think there's also a difference between Hollywood and influencer world. Influencer world is very much open to showcasing it, talking about it, being a little bit more vocal versus Hollywood. I feel like there is the stigma because they work with people that control their narrative versus an
Yeah.
influencer world, you're kind of in charge. Like no one, you don't have a boss. Like what you post is your life versus them. They're like, well, I really want to work with Martin Scorsese next film. And I don't want Martin Scorsese to think I did this plastic surgery because then he might not cast me for this role. I think they also
True.
have a little bit of an industry they have to work within, which is what I've learned working with so many actors, and so I respect that some of their secrecy because they want to keep that cloud so that the directors want to cast them.
But why
Yeah,
would
but like
someone
the
not
Kardashians are reality star. For me, if you're putting it out in the zeitgeist and you are contributing to the culture of unrealistic beauty standards, which they basically invented,
Yeah,
I think that you should be open about it. And yeah, no one owes anything to an extent, but if little girls are looking at you and little boys and being like, "This is how I have to look," and
right.
they make
well,
it seem like they just drink lemon water,
yeah, and
I'm really passionate about that. Like I
yeah.
was not just because I love you obviously and would have
Yeah, yeah,
promoted it
yeah.
anyway, but
Mm,
I was always gonna say, and obviously I'm not you guys, I'm not delusional. I'm not comparing myself to the Kardashians, like double Z list over here.
eh.
But what I'm saying is like if you're out in the public eye, even at all, I
Mhm.
think you should be
Well, yeah,
saying
and
what you're
especially in
doing.
the
That's really
influencer
honest
world,
of
I think
you.
if you're gonna be selling products, whether it's
That monetizing it.
makeup,
Monetizing,
no,
yeah.
whether it's makeup or collagen powder, protein, I don't know, whether it's you're selling a lot, like your job is to influence people, to sell product to people, to sell yourself to people. And so
Sure.
when I think there isn't that forthcoming part of you, even if you feel like it's personal in someone's business, you're relying on these people to be consumers of whatever the fuck you're selling.
So
And so
true.
I think being honest about like whether it's even, let's talk about lifestyle then.
Yeah.
That is part of lifestyle. So again, I feel like when people get rude and pushy and act very entitled to that kind of information, that puts me off a little bit either. But I think
Right.
there's sort of a middle ground where there can be a little more openness. So that way people just don't think like, I'm just gonna buy whatever this person is selling until I look like them or become them or my life mirrors them. And that's just never gonna happen because they've had this, 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 and this done.
Right. It's so
I
true.
think I think yeah, that's particularly where I take offense to it when they're
Mm,
selling products and you're like,
yeah.
"Oh, you like this waist trainer and I just wear these jeans and I eat these gummy vitamins and
Mm-hmm.
fit tea, which is also some of those things are really bad for people. And
Yeah.
we don't hear about that. I feel like that was more of a
Oh,
buzzword like 7 years ago, but
the
it's like
tummy
this
teas.
horrible diuretic that I'm
Yes.
like, my stomach issues, I could never, but it's just like, as a whole, collectively, I do think there's a balance between people being able to keep their peace and not having to share all of their lives. But when you are selling something to someone and this pipe dream, then it better match
Yeah.
what are you doing behind closed doors? Just be
Mhm.
like, FYI, unless you're spending $100,000 on plastic surgery, you probably won't see these same results.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Very
it's
true.
silly goose behavior. Well, speaking of
Yeah. If
Hollywood,
anyone wants to look like me, just get a little Botox and like that's pretty much it. And then, I don't know, sleep for 5 hours a night and
yeah,
see
I
what
mean,
that
me,
does
I'm like
too.
a rough 3. I'm like, yeah, the occasional cigarette, don't really sleep, try to have water. Okay, speaking of
Lots of
Hollywood,
stuff.
you little superstar, you were recently on television. So
Oh my gosh,
tell us
yes.
about that.
I was very sweetly featured on this Bravo show called Denise Richards and Her Wild Things. Her beautiful
Mm.
daughter, who Sammy Sheen, decided to share her journey. She wanted to be open about it, and she wanted to kind of let the world see what it's like to undergo rhinoplasty. And so they filmed for 2 episodes, episode 4 and 5. They came and filmed the consult, the surgery, and then the cast removal on the show, and it was super cool.
Wow.
So this is Charlie Sheen's daughter with Denise, and yeah, it was really cool. It was fun to be on a Bravo show. I'm not famous like you guys, but
Like,
it's like you
it's
get
fun
these
to be on a Bravo
moments
show.
and you get to like have these little sparkles. And so yeah, we had a little
Yeah.
watch event last week and it was fun. It was really cute. And it's one of those moments where like I know it doesn't mean anything in my career, but it's one of those things that it just lets you know you're on the right trajectory. I'm doing the right thing. And it's kind of validating because I think a lot of our careers we're always trying to figure out like are we taking the right path? Are we doing the right thing? Are we growing the right direction? And I think these are like the little moments, even being on this podcast with you guys makes me know I'm on the right path.
Well, I mean, it does affect your career because you might be a lot busier now.
Yes,
Yeah,
we've
I
noticed
think
that
we
already.
just
Yeah,
we discussed
exactly.
well, we discussed this because it was like I think you probably have career dysmorphia because you're the best of the best, but you feel like you're just more at a place where you can vet even better. Like it's like
Yes,
the
yes,
volume has been there, but it's just you
yes.
about working with the correct patients all the time, which is awesome.
Exactly right. Yeah, you just
Yeah.
wanna continue, and even in my industry, we have, the GOATs, and that we have the Mount Rushmore of our world, and, you just wanna one day be on that in my career, in my field, and, everyone has it for their field and their career. So yeah, I wanna be on the Mount Rushmore one day, and I know I'm not there yet, but I'm on the right path, and I know I'm gonna get there one day, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay on that path.
You're inherently a good
Hmm.
person, which I love to see because I think there are so many predatory people when it comes to
Mhm.
plastic surgery,
Yeah.
cosmetic procedures, whatever you want to call it. And I think it really is something that makes you stand out. Like
Thank
you love
you.
when you come across a
This is why
doctor
I
that
think if when
has
more people are open
Thank
about
you.
it, it doesn't become
yeah.
this dark, mysterious thing of like who to
Correct.
trust, where to go. Because if people are talking about and sharing their entire journey and what their experience is like and how much they like their doctor, surgeon, whatever, then I think that just helps the community on
Oh
both
my
ends.
god, I could not agree more. If some of my patients would just post me I wouldn't have to, do any more marketing ever again.
Name them. Name them.
Name them.
Kidding.
And their names are
So the thing is, I do want an upper and lower bleph, but you don't do those. But so you had referred me to someone.
yeah.
But do you think that that is the new like mid to late 30s pre funk to a
Mhm.
facelift?
I
Is the
do.
upper lower bleph?
Yeah, I think when you're in your I would say the hottest procedures, it's always age-based, so I'd say 15 to 25 is still nose. Nothing's gonna be hotter than a nose when you're in your teens/early college years.
Yeah.
I would say 25 to 35 is definitely all about eyes, and
Mhm.
then I would say 40 plus is all about now the face.
Yeah, well, I definitely want some eyes because I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm not chasing youth. I don't want to look like that's not going to happen.
No,
I
you
get
just wanna
that.
open up your
But I don't want to
silhouette.
look like this. I want to look like whatever version I can be right now that's the best.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
You know?
Yes.
exactly. I'm not trying to look like a 25-year-old. I'm not
No,
in
no,
any
no.
of those things. It's just about looking as best as I can right now. And I'm vain. Like I'm happily, well, say I'm a
Well, yeah,
Leo,
when I
so
go like this and I'm like, now we're talking. So
yeah.
Yeah.
obviously, then just do that.
And
And
also,
that's
aging is coming for all of us.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
when
Oh,
people,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, enjoy your youth.
I
We all grow up.
I feel like
Like,
I've been blessed thus far that if I'm finally like 39 and just now considering something
yeah,
like that, then I'm good.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm doing
absolutely.
good.
Well, and I think I like the philosophy of just, like, live your life too. Like, yesterday, I had this beautiful family who came from, Pacific Palisades. House burned down.
No.
I won't go into too many more details for HIPAA reasons, but the mom brought the daughter in because the daughter's always wanted to do her nose, and the mom was like, "There's no time to waste. Life is short. You never know what's gonna happen. We're getting the nose job."
Get the nose.
I love
Does
that
she want to
moment.
adopt me and do my bleph or what?
No, but I mean, I like that approach. Because that's true.
Yeah.
We're just, what do you say?
We're on a rock floating through space.
Nothing matters.
Nothing matters. We're all going to die soon. And I
That's
mean that
correct.
as a positive.
Yeah,
And I always say that,
absolutely.
and people have a
Yeah,
hard time
carpe
hearing it. But I'm like,
diem.
you guys, life is finite and it's right now. So
Yeah.
I got my nose job later in life than I would have wanted, but I'm like, my life started after my rhinoplasty. So I
Like,
don't, who cares?
You know, I think the chances of regretting are a lot slimmer than the chance of being extremely happy.
That's so
Yeah.
right. That's so
Mhm.
right.
Which is honestly the foundation
Amen.
of this podcast.
I know. We didn't do daddy
No, we're
lists.
going to though.
Oh,
'cause
we're
I
going to
just
do it
have
together.
Ooh.
So I know this is kind of uncouth, but I think we did this with Wes, but we were just so excited to talk to you. You know about our daddy list in our
Yep,
basement.
I
So let's just do them together real quick because we really want to hear what yours are. So
Yeah.
starting with you, Dr. Dugar, who is on your daddy list this week?
daddy list for me is going to be supportive boyfriends and partners who come to consults and they sit quietly and let their girlfriends or wives talk about their insecurities and they respect their desires.
That's
And on my
hot.
basement list are
That's such a
the
good one.
assholes who
Mm.
bring their girlfriends or boyfriends in and tell them what's wrong with them in front of me and tell them how ugly they are and what they need to fix. That's on my basement list
How often do you see that?
every day.
Oh,
No.
no.
Mhm.
Oh, it's like a guy who's like, no, she needs bigger knockers. Like I'm like,
Yes.
ew, you
Oh,
just
that
maybe you
happens
just don't like
daily.
women.
That
Maybe
happens
that's what it
daily.
is.
That happens daily.
That's insane.
yeah.
If that was someone's issue with me, I'm like, this isn't gonna last because you're just gonna find more things about me you don't like. So
I know. Part of me wants to tell the girl, blink twice if you need help.
No, hopefully you've had good work, so you still can. You're like, instead of having them sign consent forms for the surgery, you just slide them over divorce papers, and you're like, go ahead and just sign right there. Okay,
no,
that's a really good. Those
that
are really good ones.
supportive partners in what someone wants to do just to better their happiness. And when they're just like, I think you're perfect, but it's gonna make
Yeah.
I could cry.
Katie Maloney, who's in your daddy in your basement?
Okay, my daddy list is beer. Like I'm really, really loving beer right now because I'm just like,
Really?
I don't know, like normally like tequila's my thing, wine forever, but like there's just something so refreshing about like cold Mexican lager on draft, or like I got some Hogardens in my fridge right now. But like went through a period, I think when I was working at like Barney's Beanery way back in the day, because there was like a billion beers there that like I just kind of got into beer and like that was having a moment. But like I'm back in it and I don't know, I'm like, do you know what sounds good right now? A beer. And I also like don't want to like get like drunk or anything like that. So it's like it doesn't not this low alcohol content, maybe just like a little bit of a buzz.
You're watching
is
too much
great.
Landman because you are so. Or is it Landman with Billy
They drink
Bob?
whiskey. Oh
No, because
okay,
then he drinks beer because he's like,
he's
I'm an alcoholic.
He's
I
like,
don't
"I'm
drink. Can I
alcoholic,
have
I
a
can't
beer?"
drink that. And they're like, there's alcohol in that. And he goes, give me 6 of these and see what happens, and give me 6 of those and see what happens. He drinks like Michelob Ultra. I love it. So, but
Well,
yeah,
retweet that. I love a beer.
beer.
On a
I
nice
know,
hot
I know
day.
you do.
I
So
love
it's
a beer.
just, yeah, I'm like really having. I'm in my beer era.
Okay, great. We'll have a cold one after this.
And yeah, and then on my basement, I feel like I have a lot of basements with like public restrooms, but they really fucking twist my tits. So when people, okay, you know when it's like
Sorry,
a
Dr.
busy
Dugar.
bathroom and like people are like, there's a lot of stalls, it goes all the way down, and there's like kind of people waiting, so you kind of go down to see, and like, when one's like a little bit of ajar, you give it a little poke.
Mhm.
When people are in there and they don't close the door, like you're in a public
Mhm.
restroom, like this isn't a new concept. You close the door and you lock it because you know someone's coming down that way and just gonna, luckily I didn't push it open. But the real basement is when they yell at you, like I'm in here. You're like, then lock. I'm
Well,
like, and
there's
I
a
go, "Then lock the
mechanism to
fucking
alert
door."
me of that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a real quick solution to that. So that's really like that. I got yelled at yesterday because I like literally tapped and they slammed it shut. They're like, I'm in here. And I'm like, well, ma'am, there's
Okay, choose your fighter because next
have
time
the
someone,
day have the day you deserve.
next time someone does that to me, I'm gonna combat. I'm gonna completely open
Like-
it and I'm gonna sit on their fucking lap. That
Like
should be
in
the
Dumb and Dumber
yeah.
when he like it was like he's in the bathroom and he's like, oh, meet me here at this time for a good time. And it's with the one guy from the rest stop.
Yeah, punishment fits the crime.
Yeah, anyways.
Is that all?
That's it.
Okay.
You got a list, huh?
I only have 2 today for basement, but I
Okay.
actually have 2 daddy because I'm so optimistic. Owls are on my daddy list.
Okay.
And I know this is kind of a random one, but I just love an owl. Like they are
Oh,
so
yeah.
tea and fun. And they're like, especially the ones that like blink slowly and you're like, are you on the pages of Vogue? I don't know. I just think they're very interesting creatures. And then they look so like stout and you pull them up and they have little twig legs. It's so funny. So I just love an owl.
Yeah, what's the anatomy there? I want to know.
And then I sent you this and you didn't respond when we were heading back to your place, that song. So there's a
Oh,
song
sorry.
called "In My Room" by Julia Wolf, and I liken it to
I like Julia Wolf.
Flyleaf a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit, or like Paramore.
She's like has a little bit of that like goth grunge to her.
Yeah. I was having lunch with someone the other day, and he was like, "Oh yeah, are you like a goth freak?" And I was like, "A goth freak? No, I'm not a goth freak. And even if I were, like, goodbye." Anyway, so that's how that lunch went. So those are my daddy list, and then my basement, which I think because we do these so much, I feel like this has been on it before. But daylight savings time. Again, I'm obviously thrilled when we spring forward, but is it worth the fallback? Probably not. So hate that. And then when you're looking for a specific emoji and you can't find it, and you go into the bar to type like the description and it's not there, and then
Yeah.
you've seen the pages and it's all the faces and they're all laughing at you all of a sudden because they're like, "You're never gonna find
Like
me."
I swore it was right next to that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The eye roll one, I can never find that one, and it's such a bummer.
I need it all the time, and then I
That's
go
a
on my
good one.
recently used, and I know I've recently used it, and I'm like, "You're full of shit."
It's
Stop trying to
rolling its
gaslight
eyes at
me.
you. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Anyway,
this
so
girl again.
that's mine.
Anyway, I love it.
Well, Dr. Dugar, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. This was
Thank
so
you.
wonderful. Thank you for giving all our
That was
amazing
so
Oh my
listeners
God.
informative. I feel like
insight. Yeah,
I'm about to scrub up.
I feel hotter in proximity. Yeah, you can start doing my procedures when Dr. Dugar is busy.
Done.
So
I'm gonna send you some scrubs.
yeah, please tell everyone where they can find you.
My Instagram is Deepak Dugar MD, and my website is scarlessnose.com.
And your TikTok is the same handle.
Same,
Isn't
Deepak
it?
Dugar MD. Yes, we try to post fun stuff on all three.
You do.
Oh,
You do.
yeah.
You should. You love to post my befores. Which
Yeah, I
we-
do. I
we
do.
love to- Me and Raleigh
I don't
always
mean.
we always send them to each other when you'll like post one of your Raleigh and we're like, "Oh no, he's at it again." Anyway, okay. Well, yeah. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you
Come
for
in.
having me.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's the episode.
That's it.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
I love you. Bye.
Babe, you're gonna see the power of women. Like, disrespectfully.